Daily life in ancient Rome, power, glory, and the fall of an empire. The luxurious world of daily life in ancient Rome unfolded in a whirlwind of history where magnificence stood alongside simplicity and power was balanced with tradition. To understand the Romans is to explore the rhythms of a society that shaped the very foundation of Western civilization. As the sun rose above the tiled rooftops and marble columns of the Eternal City, the streets of Rome awakened with life. The rumble of wooden carts echoed along the paved stones of the Via Appia, one of the oldest and most important Roman roads, connecting the city with distant lands. From bakeries tucked between tightly packed buildings, the rich aroma of fresh bread drifted through the air. Shopkeepers opened their stalls while citizens, both noble and humble, began their daily routines. For the Romans, daily life was deeply shaped by religion, politics, military might, and entertainment. These four pillars defined the social fabric of a vast empire that stretched from the misty shores of Britain to the golden sands of North Africa and the great cities of the Middle East. The Roman military machine. As most of the city stirred to life elsewhere, Roman soldiers, legionaries, were already training. Their days began early, with intense physical preparation, marching in formation, throwing javelins, constructing camps, and drilling for war. These men formed the backbone of Rome's expansion and its dominance for centuries. A well-trained legion could build a fortified camp in hours, cross rivers, and lay siege to cities with deadly precision. Service in the military was demanding, but offered citizenship, land, and honor. The discipline and organization of the legions were legendary, setting standards that modern armies still study today. The Senate and political power, meanwhile, in the heart of the city, Rome's political elite gathered in the Senate. These were the patricians, members of noble families who held the most influence. In togas of brilliant white with purple stripes, they debated laws, foreign policy, taxation, and matters of state. The Senate was more than a governing body. It was a symbol of Roman tradition and authority. Although the emperors would later hold absolute power, the Senate's role remained significant for centuries. The tension between Senate authority and imperial ambition would often define Rome's political drama, with alliances, betrayals, and conspiracies shaping the fate of emperors and generals alike. Roman culture, philosophy, art, and innovation. In the quieter hours of the morning, philosophers lectured in shaded courtyards. Roman culture thrived on ideas, a legacy inherited from the Greeks and adapted with Roman discipline. Stoicism, Epicureanism, and Platonism influenced not only the elite, but the moral outlook of Roman citizens. Art and architecture flourished. Sculptors captured emperors and gods in marble and bronze. Vibrant frescoes decorated the walls of villas, telling stories of myth, love, and heroism. Public baths featured mosaics of dolphins and sea gods. Temples to Jupiter, Venus, and Mars loomed across the skyline. Rome was not just a city of power, it was a city of beauty, complexity, and astonishing engineering. Its architects built towering aqueducts to bring fresh water from the mountains, bridges that defied rivers, and roads so well constructed that many still exist today. Life of the patricians and plebeians. But daily life in Rome depended heavily on social class. The city was divided between the elite, the patricians, and the commoners, known as plebeians. Patricians lived in luxurious villas with inner courtyards called atriums, marble floors, running water, and painted walls. They reclined at banquets while being served by dozens of slaves. Meals could include roasted peacocks, exotic fruits, and fine wine from distant provinces. Plebeians, on the other hand, lived in crowded apartment buildings called insulae. These structures were often poorly built, with limited sanitation, prone to fires, and shared by dozens of families. The lower you lived, the wealthier you were, because climbing multiple flights of stairs was both exhausting and dangerous. Despite their challenges, plebeians were the lifeblood of the city. They worked as craftsmen, blacksmiths, bakers, merchants, and farmers. Some rose through military service or business to acquire wealth and influence. The social ladder, though rigid, was not entirely closed. Festivals and entertainment. What united all Romans, regardless of status, was their love of spectacle. Public life in Rome revolved around grand celebrations in honor of the gods. From Saturnalia, the raucous winter festival, to Lupercalia, the bizarre ritual of fertility and purification. But above all, the people craved entertainment. The Colosseum, or the Flavian Amphitheater, was the crown jewel of Roman architecture. Seating up to 50,000 spectators, it hosted gladiator combats, mock naval battles, and public executions. These events were more than games. They were tools of political propaganda, reminding the people of imperial power and generosity. Elsewhere, chariot races at the Circus Maximus drew crowds of up to 150,000. Romans cheered for their favorite teams, the Reds, Blues, Greens, and Whites, with the same passion modern fans show for football or basketball. The emperors in the height of power, above it all stood the emperors. From Julius Caesar, whose assassination marked the end of the Republic, to Augustus, Rome's first true emperor, and Trajan, who expanded the empire to its greatest territorial extent. Each ruler left a distinct mark on Roman history. Some were visionaries, others tyrants, but all held immense power, often absolute. They were worshipped as gods, feared as commanders, and watched with suspicion by their rivals. With power came danger. Intrigue, poisonings, and betrayals were common in imperial Rome. Emperors who failed to deliver victories or bread could quickly fall, sometimes by the sword, sometimes by their own guards. The decline of Rome. Despite its splendor, Rome was not invincible. Over centuries, the very success of the empire became its burden. The cost of defending distant borders strained resources. Corruption, civil wars, and economic instability weakened the government. Plagues ravaged the population. Inflation reduced the value of Roman coins. The loyalty of the legions waned as local commanders gained power. Eventually, the empire split into a western and an eastern half. The west, centered in Rome, could not withstand the growing pressure from barbarian invasions. In 476 AD, the last Western emperor, Romulus Augustulus, was deposed by the Germanic chieftain Odoacer, marking the end of the Western Roman Empire. But the East, known as the Byzantine Empire, would survive for nearly another 1,000 years. Rome's enduring legacy. Even in ruins, Rome's legacy remains eternal. Its legal principles, like innocent until proven guilty, still shape modern law. Its languages evolved into Italian, French, Spanish, Portuguese, and Romanian. Its architecture inspired Renaissance palaces, neoclassical buildings, and even the U.S. Capitol. Roman engineering, aqueducts, roads, sewage systems laid the groundwork for modern infrastructure. Roman ideas about governance, citizenship, and empire continue to influence global politics. Today, walking through the Roman Forum or standing beneath the arches of the Colosseum, we do more than witness history. We walk in the footsteps of a civilization that forever changed the course of the world. Rome may have fallen, but in many ways it never truly died.